Hey Magic Makers, Mommy here. So this is TerrorFest, and we're going to check out Mariana Lowery's panel where she turns this lovely young lady into a dreadful demon. Let's go.
So with the demon process, I think the most important thing are the horns. Okay, but from experience, one of the things I have learned the most about horns is that proportion does matter. Okay, proportion matters a lot. So whenever you're planning on your horns, try to make a decoy with aluminum foil and just bend it so that you can see what fits good on your face, on your head. Okay? And as you progressively build on the aluminum foil, then start shaping it to the shape that you want. You could, I'm not gonna bend these because I've worked really hard to get them to that perfect shape and I've already covered them in foam. But point is, as you build up on the aluminum foil and you start bending it to the desired shape, there's so many horns. I think that for me to show you every single horn, I think I would have had to bring like a box of horns to show you all of them. But point is, find your inspiration picture. And here's the one key. Always make the core of it with foil smaller than your actual proportions. I'm going to tell you why. Because when you build up on it later on, whether you add foam, whether you add clay foam, whether you add hot glue, because you can make the horns out of a lot of materials. They'll be bigger than what you originally planned. See, so then your proportion that you were expecting is going to be off. And it's going to be a lot difficult very difficult to fix that because you've already created it, right? So you want to always make sure to make your initial horns smaller. And that way when you build up, because when you build up, you're going to add at least a 1/4 inch of size. Or depending on how thick you make them, you could even add 1/2 inch of size to the horn, and that will make it look off. Okay, especially if you're copying a character. Now, if you're doing your own creation, let's pretend, this is my creation, then do it however you want. You can even have asymmetrical horns. Do a big one, a small one. But I'm specifically talking about when you're copying a character you want to cosplay, or that you've seen in a movie and you want to copy. So you gotta definitely keep proportions in count. Okay. The most important thing when you're doing horn is using the right glues, because if you use latex is great for small and lightweight horns and it'll last all day. But if you have heavy horns like the ones that are made out of silicone, hot glue, and those materials, when you make horns out of those, they're heavy. Now, keep in mind, I want to tell you something. You're going to feel it, you're like, oh, this is not that heavy. No, I'm not talking about you handling the weight. I'm talking about the glue handling the weight. See, because your ability to resist weight is not the same as the glue's ability to resist weight. So a lot of times I see people make that mistake. It's like, oh no, this is not heavy at all. It's going to last me all day. Boom, and they glue it on. But they don't understand. As you're moving around, you're like, hi, nice to see you. Oh, hey, what's up, so-and-so? Things like that will wear on the glue. So you got to think of the glue, not of you, how you can handle that weight. So if you're kind of like me, that you're ADD, like the puppy from Up, squirrel, right? Then you need a really tough glue, right? One that can handle your ADHD, right? So for that one, there's one called Telesis. I did not bring it because that glue is evil, okay? So if you want something that will withstand hurricanes, earthquakes, thunderstorms, it's called Telesis. It does work, but watch out. If you don't remove it the proper way, your skin will come off. It's very evil. But it works. It's great for all day wear. But the one I brought is my favorite one, and it's the one that I use for everything. It's called prosthetic. Prosthetic is amazing, and the way that we apply it is first we clean the skin. Okay, again, this is for all day wear. If you're gonna wear this costume for just a photo shoot, don't worry about cleaning the skin. You're good. But if you're wanting for all day wear, you do need to clean the skin. We need alcohol, preferably 91% or 99%. CVS only sells 91%. And then you come and you want to clear out the skin where we're doing it. I consulted a couple of thieves on where we're going to do these horns, and we're going to do them frontal like Hellboy. So we're going to add one little dot here. For her particular demon, I want to go as close as I can to the hairline without going into the actual hairline, but I definitely want to be as close as possible because those horns are very large. Okay. I'm going to let that dry, become clear, and once it's clear, I'm going to give it a second coat. It's incredibly important to do that second coat because if not, it will not. It needs to be ultra tacky. And for some reason, layering it is what works for this glue. I wish I got a couple other little horns that I wanted to attach to her too. So she's gonna have the two main ones here. And then we're gonna add the smaller ones right under. Oh yeah, she's gonna look beast when we're done. I prefer to use Q-tips for different applications because I always get glue on the handle and then I get glue to the Q-tip. And I'm like, okay, screw that. So on this particular, so as you saw for these horns, I simply did the 2 circles because I kind of knew the diameter of them. So I didn't really worry about measuring. And I'm gonna also do the edging with latex. So I'm not necessarily right, but these have a very unique shape that I can't, that's not a circle. Am I making sense? So because this is an irregular shape, what I like to do for this particular kind of horns is I like to put the glue here, and then I use the horn as a stamp. See? And now I have the perfect shape for the base of this horn. So now that I have the shape, I'm gonna give it a little thicker coat. And I can see that this one is clear already. Even professionals make mistakes. I'll tell you that right now. So just in case you had some makeup, I am removing it in the spots that I'm going to. This is a cotton ball with alcohol. I'm gonna remove this one because I did not clean this site. Luckily it's fresh enough to where it just come off. All right, there we go. And I'm gonna grab another cotton ball and clean the other side before I forget. Because as I said, I'm like that dog from the movie Squirrel. And I get excited and then I forget about the little details.
Like you get older, then it's because you're old.
Yep, girlfriend, trust me. I made them in different sizes. Now I'm gonna do this one. And I'm gonna here. Bam. And I'm going to do that first coat. Oh my god, you're gonna look amazing. I can already see it. Yes. It is so sick. But I think to me personally, when I do demons, I feel I've overcome my fear of them, if that makes sense. So I'm proud of myself when I do a demon. I'm like, ha, I'm not scared of you anymore. So see how it's really clear? You cannot see. I knew where the horns were, so I'm kind of just applying glue in the general area. But if you want to apply glue right where it's at, you need to lean and see the reflection of where it's shiny, so that you can find the correct side where you put the glue. Just so you know, because if you're trying to look at it in front, it's really hard to see where you put the previous layer of glue. Okay, so and actually, I love that you have that nose ring. It's gonna add a little flair to the demon. Add a little flair. It's gonna make you feel safe to start applying these. See how these are clear? That's what I want. And let's see. Wait. I want to be in the perfect front, so make sure I line them up right. I've done it before where I accidentally line one like this and the other one is perfectly straight, so I want to be perfect. Oh my god, this is gonna look so cool. Okay. If you see, yep. Okay, sorry about that. If you see that happens, that means we can't do both at the same time. And I'm gonna give it another layer. In those occasions, what I do is, because sometimes it might be a little too heavy for this first initial application, I'm going to start getting the latex ready, because it's what I'm going to use for the edging. Latex, I love latex, because latex is phenomenal to fill things in. It is phenomenal to fill things in. I always cut up my little toilet paper, make sure it's really shredded as fine as possible. Sometimes I'm lazy and I leave big clumps. I've noticed that as long as you push it in, you can mold it on the person's face. And I always joke that, hey, it's Halloween. The worse it looks, the better, right? My amazing sculpting tools that I love dearly. Okay, so I'm gonna have this ready while that third layer dries. Maybe I didn't do the other ones too thick enough. That also happens. Sometimes you don't make the layers thick enough, and that's why it didn't stick. But what I like to do with these occasions is that I will get the base of the latex. So you want to be really pasty. Really, really pasty. And then I'll do one by one. Instead of gluing both at the same time, I'll just do one by one. The little ones should have no problem gluing. And by the way, a fun story about horns and things that you glue on your face. You can glue anything on your face. Like literally. You want a Coke can on your face? Go for it. You want to, just make sure to be careful with the edges. They are sharp if you cut. That's the one time of the year when I can act weird, tuck myself in. I'm normal.
It's about we look this time of year.
Yes. And it's funny because as I'm applying things, I'm trying to measure like a 1/4 inch from the eye so that I can try to work on some symmetry. It doesn't have to be perfectly symmetrical. Here, I kind of do an L and I make sure I got the right triangle shape on her face so I can get symmetry. Ah, that is looking so cool already. Things always look weird at first. Always. It's normal for things to look weird at first. It's starting to look cool. Okay, now I'm going to start grabbing a little bit of the latex paint. And I'm going to start working on these edges. Edges are the most important thing when you're doing horns, because if you don't blend those edges in right, it just doesn't look quite right. So you got to decide on what kind of edging do you want. Do you want it to look like, you know, they broke through the skin and you can see the flaps of skin, you know, around it? That's one of the possible edges that you can have. Do you want it to be like a natural born demon, right? They've had them all their life, so they got the little flesh around it that grew as they grew older, and they've had their horns all the time. So right now I'm going to make it look like she's a natural born demon. She's always had these. Okay? And I'm going to slowly start applying it with my little sculpting tool on her face. I'm doing my best to not go around your eyebrow. Okay? I definitely don't want you to rip your eyebrows, so I'm going to actually skip that particular edge. If you use heavy materials like a thermoplastic, you're going to have to do horns one by one because you have to hold it as you go. You have to hold it. There's no way around it because of the weight of the horn. Okay? So if you use thermoplastics, hot glue, or silicone, which is heavy, you have to do them one by one. Okay? Here, these are made out of foam clay. And although foam clay is ridiculously light, as you can see, they're holding just fine, it's ridiculously fragile, so be careful with that. The fragileness of foam clay is not fun. Okay, they'll literally snap in a heartbeat. Anyone want to snap one? I have extras. You want to snap it? You want to snap it? I got two. Come here, Orla.
It's like I want to keep it almost.
No, snap it. They're super easy to make. But feel how easy it is. The good thing about it is that 1 is cheap and 3 super easy to mold. So it's a great solution to a one-time use horn that you don't care about keeping, you don't want to reuse. There you go. If you yourself, you have the issue I'm having here with this lovely young lady, that she has a very small gap right here, and you're gonna touch your eyebrows. There's a couple ways around that so that you don't have casualties on your eyebrows. I know most of us want to keep our eyebrows intact. One of them is Vaseline. The other one is using that glue stick trick where you just glue stick the crap out of your eyebrows until they're smooth. It takes about 5 good layers of that. So press it on real good. Make sure it's going in there, because if you don't do it good, when you try to apply that second layer, you'll lift up accidentally the first layer, because you have to press. So press the first layer on real good, like you want to smash that glue stick on your face. And then the second layer, you do a little lighter, so you don't accidentally lift up that bottom layer. So I'm just grabbing like drops, very small amount, and I'm going to drag it over as best as I can and avoiding her eyebrow. And if y'all are really close, you can see how the edges do start disappearing as I do this. Let's put myself in. I'm sure I'll make a wonderful prosthetic on your face if I glue myself to you. Here, this is our costume. We're glued to each other. One thing I love about latex is that latex loves to stick to itself. So if you notice as you're progressing on the edging process that your horn is lifting somehow, Just push it back down once it cures and it'll boop, magically stick to itself. Latex is amazing. It's an amazing glue. But it doesn't last all day, sadly. Alright, we're gonna continue here. So since I'm going for the look that she was born with these horns, I want to avoid sharp edges in this molding. So I'm doing my best to like make it look like she. If I were to like grab this little section here and zoom in, right? I'm bringing it up a little bit. I can see a gap about this big in between her face and the actual horn. So with that latex, I'm going to scrape the knife, right? Kind of like you when you're taking that chocolate or that mayo out of the tub and you scrape the knife to remove the excess from the knife. I'm going to do that like this, and I'm going to fill in that gap. That way I make sure, because that means that there's no glue in that little section, right? Sometimes even though I use the stamp, I am a human, I didn't glue it exactly in the spot, I didn't place it exactly on those little initial glue marks I did, and that's fine, that's not a problem. The way of solving that is like, oh, I already glued it on. If you try breaking it up, it's gonna rip. That horn is so delicate, it's gonna rip. So I'm gonna fix my mistake by scraping it in there, okay? See, and I'm filling it in just like I would scraping that knife on that mayo jar to remove that excess. I do the same process right here to fill in that gap. You can see the very small amounts I'm grabbing. They're extremely small. If you use too much, you risk dripping, it's cold. Oh, I'm sorry. I wish I could warm it up for you. If you grab very large amounts, you're going to, whatchamacallit, risk dripping, risk dropping it on her outfit, and then next thing you know, you're gonna ruin your shirt. So make sure if you're a newbie, wear something that you don't mind getting full of latex or getting full of makeup. Okay. Make the horns. Like I've seen some people with like those horns that go like past their shoulder space. You're gonna risk having people being inconsiderate or not paying attention, and they're gonna walk into you and break them. Or worse, rip them out of your face. Right? That's not good. So you want to be careful when you do big projects like that. Like I Am Legend. No, I Am Legend. What's that? Tom Cruise. Right, Legend. Yeah. Okay, so like that guy has seriously massive horns. So if you're gonna do something crazy like that, you want to have at least a team of 3, whereas you and your 2 friends are gonna hang out with you so that they can one stand on your left and one stand on your right, so that people are not running into you. That's a personal recommendation from experience. Okay, now I'm gonna let these dry and cure. I don't really care if I see any mistake or anything that's like, oh, this needs my attention, like, oh, I see that. Don't worry about it right now. A lot of things will get blended as we go, and you will not even notice it at the end of the day. Again, this is not for a movie. This is not for a professional setting. This is me and my personal time. I'm just wanting to do some cool makeup for Halloween, kind of lesson, if that makes sense. Like if I'm getting paid for a movie or something, trust me, this is gonna look perfect. I'm gonna do a perfect job. Okay, I'm gonna press real good. And okay, it's gently falling off. Okay, so this tells me that I made this horn a little bit too heavy, as you can see, look. See, and y'all can, look, pass it around. Tell me, how much do you think this weighs?
Not much.
Not much at all. Don't break that one though, but you'll feel that one doesn't weigh much at all. I mean, what? 50 grams maybe? Not even like 2 ounces? 1 ounce maybe? You know, if we make this a little too heavy to where the glue can handle, it's not gonna last us all. So that gives me a lesson that, see how I did foam? I don't know if you recognize this foam, but this is foamy, the foamy sheet. And then on top of that, I did the foam clay. So it's too heavy. Don't do it. So I'm gonna just strengthen this edge with the latex, and hopefully it will last you for at least 4 hours, which is a good amount of time. So I'm gonna fill in with the latex, fill in with a lot of latex. Sadly, I'm gonna have to hold it until it cures. Sometimes in the makeup industry, we just gotta make sacrifices and we gotta hold it until it cures. I wish it was not the case, but sometimes it is. especially when you're using prosthetics that you did not make. For someone like, I did not have her come to my house, measure the horn, let's make sure it fits you kind of thing. For this you can use, it's inside the tub, it's called prosthetic cream. And you can definitely use the prosthetic cream to fill in. You cannot, I don't recommend using the technique of clumping toilet paper in it. But it's thick enough to where you don't really need to add toilet paper. It's super thick. I'll use it in just a second. I might use it for the other horn so you can see it. Okay. This is the annoying part where you get to wait. Or you tell your model, hey, can I borrow your hand and can you hold this? While I do the other things. It's just, the problem with the hairdryer is it gets too hot.
Oh, cool setting.
Oh, there you go. There you go, you have a fancy one. I might need your hand right here. Hold it in that position. Specify. Latex doesn't really glue to hair, but the thing is, it likes to create a sheath around your hair. So you just have to like pull it out of your hair. Or rip it, whatever you prefer. So right now, again, I'm doing what I was talking about earlier about how I'm scraping it like I do in the mayo jar or something, scraping it in there like an edge. I don't know, that was the first visual I thought to help y'all visualize what I'm doing. I'm scraping that tiny little amount in that gap. So when you do these, when you do the horns on yourself, you definitely want to aim to fit it as fast as possible to you, because the less amount you have to fill in, the quicker you'll be done with the makeup job. Okay, so since these horns are so heavy, I'm gonna make a little layer, like up to this ½ an inch, to help the latex kind of grip to it on the base. That's kind of what I'm gonna do with it right now. So it is starting to hold by itself, as you can see, but I want this to last you a long time. So I'm gonna give it a little bit of a coat right above it. Just so it'll hold.
Yes.
Yes. Now keep in mind it's still fresh, so don't wiggle your face too much, because then it could become it's still fresh. Like I can see how this one is starting to become yellow tinted. See that yellow tint? That means that the latex is curing. So that's what you're looking for when you're working with latex. Once it becomes yellowy, that's when you know you're starting to get closer where you can start applying makeup. Because if you apply it when it's white like that, it won't apply as good. It's because you're applying it on a wet surface. Okay, especially with airbrush. Airbrush latex is water based, and the airbrush most of the time is alcohol based. Okay. Oh man, you're gonna look so cool in just a second. You are gonna love it. So for these airbrush paints, I am using Pro Air. Oh, when you do this, they're gonna move with you. Yep. Yep, it's so funny. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna start painting the horns themselves. I'm not gonna paint her yet. I'm just gonna start airbrushing the horns. Well, at least I'll be honest, I don't have a sense of smell. I'm just repeating what my people that I do makeup on, they tell me that it smells like apples. Okay, these that are a little yellowy, I just feel comfortable painting a little over. When you do this on yourself, please paint them before you put them. Yes, yes, please do paint them before. I had an extremely busy week. It tickles? Oh, and it's cold too. There are makeup artists out there that prefer to do the whole makeup and then glue it on. I personally don't like to do that because I aim for it to last longer. And when you have paint underneath, it just doesn't last as long. It lasts. It'll last a good amount of time, but not all day. So personally, I prefer to have no makeup on. But this baby right here is so good. And it is so thick. It's like Dairy Queen.
That's the one that's safe for everything. Whoa, I'm white.
Yes. And you're gonna have a lot of black very soon.
Whoa, that's so cool.
You're gonna have a lot of black. It's a little bit more difficult to sculpt, but not impossible. Okay, and I would do the same thing that I would do. I'll first like scrape it like I would on that mayo jar, and then fill in the holes with it. So see this little edge right here? You can clearly see the edge of the horn right here. So I want to make that disappear, right? This is the other way. I would do the same thing with the latex, FYI. But see how now I've blended it in?
Yeah.
Now the problem with this is that the prosthetic is going to take the shape of the tool. Okay, so see if I smooth it out, look at how nice and smooth that is compared to the others. See, these are the lumps of tissue paper that I had in the latex that give it a little more texture. So when you're using the prosthetic cream, you kind of have to, if you want to get that same texture or similar, you have to sculpt it in. And it's really tricky to get it good because you're depending on your tool to do that, and it just takes a lot of practice to do it. So even I sometimes don't get them at the first try or so, but that's basically what you would do is to fill it in. And by the way, they do sell this in a much smaller container. It's just that since I do a lot of makeups,
Where do you get it at?
Techland, but you can always get it online too.
Yeah.
How much paint you want. You can release just a tiny little amount, see? Or you can go full blown and get it all in once. I know, I'm sure you felt that one. You see how it's showing up? The one thing I do like about everything is like instantly blended. I don't have to blend away. Actually, I think I'm gonna do a little bit. But now, for the eye makeup, you do have to use traditional makeup. Okay, I don't care how much of a veteran someone is with the airbrushing, there is no way that they'll be able to hold their eyes open enough to where every single crease. Okay, airbrush will not go into, even you're a young girl, you don't have many creases at all. I can still see a few. I'm sure you can see them, the little creases. So even though she's very lightly closing her eyes, these tiny little folds, the airbrush doesn't go in there. So I always come back with traditional makeup, powder and brush, and I'm just filling in the gaps. And as days goes by and it wears, it actually adds to the look. My humble opinion, I'm sure someone will disagree.
Oh no, I want to look perfect all day long.
That's perfectly fine, sweetheart. Go ahead and use your primer. Go ahead and add your powder. No problem. Everybody gets to do the look however they want to. Okay, and this part I always joke, although I have painted black under her eyes, you can see the waterline is still flesh colored. And I always joke, I'm like, that waterline still looks too human. We need to demonize it too. Now, of course, that's when I come in with my eye pencil and cover it up. Look up, sweet pretty. And you just paint that waterline. See, I almost got stuck to myself. You want to pull down and paint that waterline as fast as possible. And then you grab the little smudger and if needed, you can smudge it until it blends. Sometimes little crumbs will stay in the little bottom lashes, those little crumbles, especially depending on how hard you press. You want those crumbles to go away, and you'll do that with the little smudger. If you don't have a smudger, that's fine. You can get a Q-tip, and it does the same job. But look at what a big difference it makes to have the waterline being black rather than a human waterline. Please look up one. This is when we personalize your demon. You gotta personalize it as you want. Do you want it to be bloody? Do you want it to be corrupted? Do you want it to be, completely demonic? Like, this is where you start going into the darker details. So, what would you like? You're my model today, so I'm gonna please you.
I was thinking bloody.
Bloody. Okay, perfect. No problem. I got the solution. And here, introducing the fake blood. Stage blood. Perfect for these moments when you need blood. Where are you gonna add this blood? Okay, well, we can add it in many places. We can make her look like she had dinner, a meal, and put the blood dripping from her mouth, for example. On her hair, on her horns, yes. Again, she impaled some of those horns and just added room. Now, but keep in mind, when you're doing makeup, your goal is to make it look what? Real, right? Convincing. Where you choose this blood is gonna be really tricky to make it look real. Okay, so you gotta understand that you're never gonna get it perfect on the first try. You're never gonna get it right, and so you gotta build practice. Even me, with the years of experience I have doing this kind of makeup, I sometimes don't get it right. Okay, I'm gonna make it like the horns are bloody from the edge. Okay, like they came out of her skin and she is bloody from the edges. And this kind of helps because it helps me add the edges a little bit more, right? Oh. Okay. When you're doing patterns like this, the most important part is to make it as random as possible. Let me put it to you this way. When someone gets murdered, injured, or has any kind of wound of any sort, they didn't quite plan it, right? It's not like, well, I wanted to look with a 45-degree angle, and then I wanted to rip in this way. No, right? Everything is super random. So the more random you make it, then the better it will look, okay? So I'm making it look like these horns ripped her or bloodied up from the edge. Okay, see that little splatter there? That looks very real. Oh, see that drip that's forming there? I'm not gonna pick it up. I'm gonna let it be. You know why? Because when blood drips, again, you do not choose where it goes. Okay, sorry, I will get this one just so you don't taste it. Actually, it is made out of food. I don't remember the ingredients. I think it was like chocolate syrup with ketchup. Yeah, I'm not kidding. When you
Doesn't
make
taste like it.
doesn't taste like it. Oh no, I'm sorry. I was trying to save you from tasting it. You're hilarious. Thank you so much for coming and watching my tutorial. Hope you learned a lot. Again, I did a lot of shortcuts. This is what I would do for my personal use. But as you can see, the products are amazing. It does work.